And we're back talking with Father Tad from the National Catholic Bioethics Center. And I wanted actually to ask you what's going on. I mean, we talked about how there's so many technological advances taking place, but I wanted to know what are some of the more pressing topics that you're facing at the center and some of the things that are popping up?
Well, I would say one area that we see more and more activity that concerns us is the area of physician-assisted suicide. I know here in Massachusetts it was pushed back on the last referendum, which was wonderful, but I suspect it's going to be back again soon here, and it's popping up in a lot of other states. So, you know, this whole notion of what is the mission of the doctor, what is appropriate in terms of end-of-life care, how do you manage severe pain, because this is what's often used as the lever arm to justify suicide of this type. And so that's an area that's of great concern to us. I would say, you know, there's some new directions that the early life technology is going. We were discussing during the break a little bit about the 3-parent embryos. Now there's a temptation to create human beings in the lab and actually manipulate those very young humans, changing their genes, modifying them, and making changes actually that if those embryos are allowed to grow up and have children of their own, then their children would be affected by these genetic changes. So this is a new area of concern. There was recently an editorial in the Wall Street Journal, you know, where some scientists were very strongly pushing against this. And so I think the scientific community still has a feeling that we need some breaks here. But there's definitely some people pushing the envelope in that direction. So those are areas that I would say are of concern. I think the whole area of assisted reproduction, we see this all the time. People go and make test tube babies, maybe not aware of the Church's teaching, and maybe later they have a conversion and they come back to us and they say, you know, oh my goodness, we did this and we now have 7 frozen embryos. You know, we don't know what to do. We feel really bad about this, and I'm past childbearing age, so how do we handle this? You know, those directions where we're sort of realizing how many moral lines have been crossed and the kinds of quandaries that people are now facing as a consequence.
We talked a little bit about the family unit and mentioned the world meaning of families, which, by the way, is happening in Philadelphia, which is where the center is located.
Yes.
What's it like for you to have this world meeting of families and the Pope coming to your city?
I would say there's definitely a groundswell of excitement, you know, around this. People are looking forward to the Pope's coming. The amount of planning is just, it's enormous. I think it's going to be interesting to see how we can just cram so many people into, you know, a small space. I know the Pope has come before to Philadelphia, you know, in the past, but still it feels like it's just logistically a huge, huge undertaking. But I think it's also going to be a wonderful opportunity for kind of renewal, both of the Philadelphia Church, but also of, you know, the broader church. It'll be a focal point there in Philadelphia, because whenever you have the Pope come, it inevitably has that effect. I was thinking about how difficult it is for us in modern society to move large volumes of people. You know, I mean, if you look at how many people travel by airlines, sure, it's a lot, but to actually move millions to Rome to see the Pope, very difficult to do. So when he travels and millions right there can show up, it's a very dramatic, kind of exciting possibility for some people to see him in person for the only time in their entire lives.
Yeah. And we talked about the importance of the family, the church. The Pope is really highlighting the family too. Maybe some ways families can, you know, we talked about education, but ways to stay informed, maybe through the center, you know, to find out more information. How do families sort of stay on top of things that are happening?
Yeah, I think for those families that are seeking information and guidance, they should check out our website, because we have a wide array of resources that are useful to families, to individuals who are struggling with moral and ethical questions about medicine, about reproduction. So our website is ncbcenter.org. That's for National Catholic Bioethics Center.org, ncbcenter.org. And we have some FAQs on there which are really useful, you know, dealing with a whole range of topics, even from things like brain death, some concerns and complications around that. Also, questions about vaccinating your children if you know that those vaccines were made in cell lines from some of the problematic sources we mentioned earlier. So we have, a lot of helpful guidance to families who may be struggling with particular, situations and difficulties.
Well, we thank you, Father Tad, for being with us today and for sharing all that you do. And we wish you all the best in Philadelphia.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be with you as always. Always love working with Catholic TV.